Hello, welcome back. This is Survival Saturday. The date is April 25th, 2020, week number 6 of the coronavirus staying at home social distancing. And I am Johnny Tiger. So, for Survival Saturday, I want to start out by answering one of the questions that was posted to me earlier. The question was, in an emergency situation where you have to leave home, what are the first and most important items that you would grab? What would you put in a survival kit? Now, before I answer that question, let me first say that I am a self-defense instructor. I am, uh, by proxy, teaching a bit of survival. However, I am definitely not a survivalist. I am not one of these people who spend their days worrying about how to trick out their bomb shelter, how to convert their basement into a redoubt that they can live in if the world ends. I'm not one of these guys who prepare for the zombie apocalypse. So if that's the kind of information you're looking for, then you might want to look somewhere else. There's a lot of them on YouTube. But I can tell you my personal opinion on what is the most important thing in a survival emergency situation. And I'm going to keep it simple. I pare the list down to 10 most essential items you need in your survival kit. Now, depending on where you're at, if you're in the US, if you're in Canada, if you're in Alaska, or if you're in Asia, your list may have to be different depending on your environment, the availability of food, etc., etc. So use some common sense, of course, depending on where you are. You want to change that up. But at the very core of it, it comes down to 10 things. Now, this is all assuming that you already grabbed your wallet, your phone, your car keys. Uh, so those things are not in the list. I'm not going to say you need to put your ID in your survival kit because I'm assuming that you have your ID in your wallet and you grab your wallet already. And now, while it is a good practice to have a second set, a backup set of ID in your survival kit, I think that's just overkilling it a little bit, overdoing it a little bit. Uh, but if that's your thing, then yeah, go photocopy all your IDs and get a second passport and stuff like that and put it in your survival kit. That's fine. So, like I said, we are assuming that you get your phone, your key, your wallet, and so now we just need to go grab that bag where our survival kit is in. Now, first talk about the bag. What is the logical kind of bag to carry? Some people say a small backpack, some people say a big suitcase. Well, I have heard it once that overpacking, overloading is just as deadly as under preparing. Now, you can have a huge suitcase with all your worldly good in it, uh, like thousands of rounds of ammunition and 50 guns and 20 katana in there. But if the world is falling down around you and there's debris everywhere, you're going to have a hard time trying to pull that huge suitcase up and downstairs, climbing over mounds of debris and rubble, and hiking up the side of the mountain if that's where you need to go for safety. So, personally speaking, a survival kit should be something that you can easily carry without running out of breath or without straining yourself, and something that in a pinch you can drag behind you if you get too tired to carry it, or if you have to carry someone else on your back, or something like that. So my personal recommendation is one of those backpacks that have a handle, pull-out handle on the top and two wheels on the bottom. These you can carry on your back Or if you are lucky enough to come by a lot of supplies, things get really heavy, pull out the handle and then drag it behind you. So I think that's the best of two worlds. It's a little bit larger than your standard backpack, but it's a lot more maneuverable if you do come to a pile of debris that you have to climb over. You're going to have a hard time with a suitcase in that case. Now, what do we put inside the backpack? Like I said, I pared it down to 10 most essential types of items. I'm not going to tell you the specific item because depending on what's available to you, I want it to be more principle than specific. Item number one, food. Now, if you're in North America and most civilized countries, unless the world just really turned upside down and everything blew up in a massive nuclear war, something like that, it's really doubtful that even if you have to leave home, that you'll be going 3 or 4 days without finding sustenance. There's vending machines, there's restaurants, there's stores, and while you say, yeah, well, I'm never going to rob a store, believe me, emergency, if the world really comes to an end and you're starving and there's a 7-Eleven that might have a few stale hot dogs still in there, you're most likely going to go in there and find them and eat them. So there's no point putting a dozen cans of cream of mushroom soup and 50 cans of spam in your backpack. All you need is enough food for 3 days. And they shouldn't be heavy food or things that can perish easily. Um, 6 cans of tuna, that's a very good choice. That will keep you going for 3 days. A couple of chocolate bars, a couple of bags of little baggies of nuts, and energy bars, even energy powder, protein powders in little packets that you can mix with water. Those are really easy to carry, keep you going for a long time. Yeah, they're not the most tasty thing in the world, but hey, it's a end of the world. It's an emergency. It's not a picnic. So food, enough food for 3 days. Keep them light, keep them simple, not perishable. Now, keep in mind that if you have canned food, that's the advantage of canned food is once you use them up, the can actually serve as cups. So you don't even need to pack cups in your emergency kit. Just put in a few cans of fruit cocktail, something like that. Watch out, you definitely will need some vitamin C and stuff like that. So fruit cocktail is a good choice. Number two, water. Again, if you live in a civilized world, water is not that hard to come by, but clean water may be an issue. So some water purifying tablets is a good idea to keep in your emergency kit, or some kind of water filter. Get one of those coffee filter system, like those paper filter that can at least cut out some of the mud and grit in any water that you can find. As far as bottled water go, I would recommend at least 3 bottles in your emergency kit. Again, you want at least enough water to keep you going for 3 or 4 days, so you can relocate and find enough water. Now, when it comes to food and water, there's something to think about. Sometimes, many of us will pack an emergency kit and never get to use it. Or maybe you don't use it until 10 years, 20 years, 50 years later. Now, no matter what you pack in there, it's a good idea to repack your emergency kit. Those energy bars and canned food and water, it's a good idea to just use them. Go get them out and use them every few months and then put new ones in there. Just so you don't end up with a 50-year-old can of tuna that you're not quite sure if it's still good or not. Number 3, shelter. I'm not talking about putting a whole tent in your survival kit, but you want to get some space blanket and those aluminum space foil blanket that you can wrap around yourself to keep the rain and keep the cold away from you, and something that you can sleep in at night to stay warm. Something that you can stretch over tree branches to form a tent. Number 4, heat source. It's always good to put a lighter, something that you can easily make fire, some matches in there. Now, true story. I had a lighter in my emergency kit, and about 2 years later, I checked, and the lighter was totally dead. So that's another thing. You put a lighter in there, make sure you go check it every so often because that thing will expire. Books of matches, make sure they stay dry, make sure they're not getting wet and moist. And again, it's a good idea to repack and put new one in there every so often, just so you're not caught flat-footed when the emergency really happens. You're out there and suddenly your lighter is not working. Number 5, clothes. Well, that sounds really obvious, but make sure you're not cramming your pack full of clothes. Again, this is an emergency. This is not a holiday. So at least 2, but no more than 4 sets of clothes. Make sure you prepare for warm weather. At least have 1 winter jacket in there. And don't forget to pack a hat for hot summer day. There's a lot of other things you can use a hat for, but we won't go into them right now. And make sure you pack a spare pair of shoes. Nice and sturdy shoes, not high heels, not flip-flops. A nice sturdy pair of walking shoes, hiking boots in your pack. Number 6, medical supply. Bandages and ointment and disinfectant, you will need them. Painkillers, Tylenol 3. Don't overload your pack, but make sure you at least have some rubbing alcohol and bandages and band-aids in there. Number 7, tools. Now this includes weapons, so if you have guns and a survival knife you want to throw in there, that's where that is, under. And also I recommend at least 1 multi-tool. One of those Swiss Army knives that have knife, scissor, can opener, screwdriver, pocket-sized hand saw, those things all in 1 tool. That's very good to have in there. There's a lot of multi-tools out there nowadays. They're very affordable. So get yourself one. Don't go cheap. If this is something you want in your survival kit, it's something that you want to be able to depend your life on. So spend a bit of money, get a good set of multi-tool, and put it in your survival kit. Number 8, adhesive. Very important. Super glue, duct tape, you will need them. If your things start to break, you need to patch things together, or if you need to treat an open wound, you can stop yourself or someone else bleeding to death by having adhesive around. Number 9, climbing equipment or bondage, like I would say, rope, belt, something that like paracord, something that you can tie things up with or climb or use to bind up injury, something like that. You don't want to start tearing up your t-shirt and pants. Like we said, we only pack like 4 sets of clothes. We don't have clothes to waste and being torn up. Now, last but not least, energy. a good energy source. Solar panel, if you have them, a lot of people don't have those, but at least have a charging bank for your phone or replacement backup battery for your phone. That phone is going to be your best friend. It might have GPS, it have radio, it have flashlight. If you have any kind of modern smart cell phone, uh, that phone is a motor tool all on its own, and it's going to need energy. So make sure you have a fully charged energy bank, like battery bank, charging station in there, and make sure again, like the rest of your stuff, you want to check them occasionally. Make sure that power bank is charged because that power bank does run out of battery all on its own if you just leave it there sitting for too long. So that's my 10 top list for what's going in your survival kit. So quickly, we'll recap: food, water, shelter, clothes, and heat source. That's the first 5. Medical, tool, adhesive, bondage, and last but not least, energy. That's your 10 recommended items or types of items to think about that go into a survival kit. Where should you keep your survival kit? That's another question that we get asked all the time. In the bedroom? By the door? Well, you want it to be a centralized and easily accessed location. Because when that crisis happens, you're not always going to be by your bedroom. You're not always going to be by the door. What if your survival kit is by the door, but the fire is between you and the door? Now you have to go out the window without your survival kit. Um, the best location to keep a survival kit is somewhere in the middle of your house, somewhere that you have to go through. You'll see it every day. You will not forget where you put it, and you can grab it. No matter if you're in a bathroom or bedroom or kitchen, it's a centralized location, equal distance from everything. So you have a good chance of reaching it if something was to be between you and the survival kit. Now, of course, I'm not going to make a video, a survival Saturday video, without showing you something about self-defense. So I'm going to cap off today's video by showing you a simple trick on how to turn in a self-defense situation. This may sound like something really ridiculous, like what do you mean by how to turn? You just turn, don't you? Well, not quite as simple. And let me show you. Let me get Bruce here ready. Get his arm ready. Let's say I'm in a situation where I'm defending myself against multiple targets. Let's say I am talking to or having issues with person A facing one direction. Bruce here, person B, their accomplice, come up beside me. And let's say he grabbed me or tapped me on the shoulder to get my attention. Do I just turn around and see what he wants? Probably not. Because if it's in a hostile situation and I turn around, most likely I turn right into a fist to my face or a slap to my face, whatever the case may be. So in this kind of scenario, if I know that the intention may be hostile, I want to turn around in a way that put me in an advantage. So I'm dealing with person A, person B come up to my left. I'm trying to keep this descriptive so those of you who are watching who are my blind associate, you can get an idea. When I turn, I when I turn to the left, my left arm come up in front of my face. My goal is for my elbow to clear the room in front of me. So as soon as I feel the tap or grab on my left side, as I turn to the left, my left elbow come up, my left arm come up, defending my face, my upper body, my left elbow, you want to bump the arm out of the way. So when I turn, my arm is already between person B, the new situation, and myself. Again, person A talking to me, maybe exchanging a few unfriendly words. Person B come up behind or from the side, tap me on the shoulder. I lift my arm as I turn, so my elbow clear the room between me and person B. I'm going to take 1 second, maybe two, to assess if they are problematic. If they say, hey, take it easy, man, take it easy. I just want to apologize. Then maybe, okay, I'll back away and, because I don't want to stay too close. I don't want to stay too close to them, just in case they suddenly pull out a knife or some nonsense like that. Okay? But if I notice that they are hostile, once I turn around, then my hand is already so close to their head. My hand is up and ready. I can, once I turn around, go right into the head, go right into forcing them back before I turn back to deal with person A. I do not want to stay dealing with one person for longer than 5 seconds. 5 second rule. That's in Krav Maga. We don't want to stay in one situation longer than 5 seconds. We want to go in, deal with the situation, and either run away or turn around, deal with the next situation. So remember, when you are turning, if I turn to the left, my left arm come up, my elbow clears the way. If I turn to the right, my right arm come up, my right elbow clears the way. This way, you're not going to be blindsided and turn yourself right into a slap to the face or a punch to the face. Thank you for checking out today's Survival Saturday. Stay safe and strong and stay healthy. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Stop.